Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to this YouTube channel. It's your guy Igor here. Today's video I want to cover some protests that are happening here in Canada and all over the world. Started from United States, of course, where Black Lives Matter and racial discriminations. Guys, so I want to cover this topic in this video. You might have seen my previous video where I was talking about George Floyd and I was swearing a lot. I'm not going to be swearing in this video, guys, because I was just emotional about that person being suffocated, choked, publicly executed, and all that stuff that happened. I didn't know it's going to lead to such a crazy world riot stuff that's happening right now. At that time I was just frustrated, just like many of you, and that's why I was so emotional in that video. I do apologize for so much of swearing there, guys. So today I want to talk a little bit about the protests. Now I want to say something about Canada, and I want to start by saying that, guys, let's not turn this peaceful protest in Canada and the protest that's happening in the US into a political debate. Let's not make this video all about Republicans versus Democrats. Let's talk about things that actually matter, and what matters is that discrimination that's happening against black people, against indigenous people, and not only them, against other races that are, visually you can see that they're different races, and people who get discriminated based on the race and other qualities. We have to end racism, and that's what I wanted to say. But I also want to cover first for black people, guys, is that in Calgary today we had about 1,500 people, 1,500 people here in Calgary who came out to protest, which is a good thing. And so far in Canada, everything in my personal scene is way more peaceful than in the United States. What disappointed me a little bit is Justin Trudeau's very long answer when he was asked about the situation in the United States. In my personal opinion, it looked really weird. And Justin Trudeau, if you ever watch this video, it felt like you have a special microphone in your ear and you were waiting for somebody to Google the right answer and a phrase for you. That was a little bit of a long thinking. It means that there might not be a specific opinion on that situation, which felt weirdly, which I hope there is no microphone in Google there, like students do in the exam sometimes. But I'm telling you guys, Canada has been like a place. I had to pass the citizenship test in Canada, right? So I had to study the history. And Canada was a destination for many black people in the United States, an underground railway and a haven for those people who were running away from slavery, from discrimination, for a better life, for an amazing life here in Canada. And sadly to see that people still get discriminated based on their race and gender, age, but we'll talk about race today. It's still sad to see these things happening in Canada, and yeah, I really do support peaceful protests. I'm against violence, I'm against car being burned, stores being looted. I'm against all of that stuff, guys, so I don't encourage any of that. But I want to tell you something about the United States now, why I'm against what is happening, but at the same time there is a reason why it's happening, right? I've been watching like days now what's going on the news in the United States, our neighboring country here at the south, and it's crazy how the reporters get beaten up, camera people getting punched in the face by the police, how they shoot people with the fireworks, crackers, rubber bullets, and they beat up the reporters, they arrest the entire crews on live television where they are streaming it. That's ridiculous. When Australian reporter get punched in the face, when German people get arrested, the reporters and news channels, that's insane. And of course, on top of this, all of the riots, not the protests, but riots now happening in the United States. My personal opinion is, of course, looting is bad, and of course the things that are happening, and there is also some political things where people deliver skids of bricks so that people can throw them, and there's some people who are interested in creating a chaos which I hope is not going to happen here in Canada because we are way more peaceful. But I'm really concerned about that situation in the United States. I want to say that Americans, people, and the police, please be safe and do not follow unlawful orders. Do not beat up people, violating their constitutional rights. When I see police violence like that, on one side you're looking at the crazy stuff that's happening and bad things in the United States, but at the same time, when police brutality, where people get beaten up so badly, sometimes you feel maybe there is a reason why it's happening in our southern border, and on the southern country from us, America. So I want to say, guys, stay strong and please be peaceful, and same is for people, peaceful protest, and same for police. Be peaceful. Do not follow orders that violate your constitution and other people's rights for peaceful protest. Do not start riots, and I hope America is going to be better. But we have to focus on the more important part. The core of the protest is violation of human basics rights. How black people get discriminated, and it has to end. It's 2020. It has to freaking end already. We have to stop discriminating people based on their race, on their gender. And it's easy for me to speak, for obvious reasons. For me it's easier because, first of all, I just don't care, and secondly, I don't get discriminated as much. But nobody should be discriminated on basis of being anything, any other race other than white person. That's such a stupidest thing I have ever seen, and for me it's a little bit even weird. Maybe, I don't know why, but maybe because I was growing up in, the cultures like in Qatar, and then, when my childhood was there, I'm really surprised to see that discrimination is still happening in the world's most advanced countries, like USA and even Canada. So I hope that this is going to be a significant milestone on the achievement of equal rights for everyone. And of course, I want to pay my respect to the Floyd family and the person who was murdered brutally on the street. I'm a little bit disappointed with the charges. In my personal opinion, it wasn't a mistake done by an officer. It was just a murder. It was not like a murdered by mistake person. What do they say? Third level, what's it called? Degree of third. I don't remember how Americans call it. Basically, a third level of murders, degree of murder, something like that. Basically, I read online. It's if you didn't mean to do that and that happened. Personally, in my opinion, it was the mistake. Police are trained and they just abuse too much of their brutality, too much of power and everything. Guys, I want to find out your opinion on this. What is happening in Canada, in Toronto? I heard about the protests even happening in Halifax, today in Calgary. What's your opinion on that? If you are an African Canadian or American, do you feel you get discriminated, and what would you think would be the best solution to resolve it? How can we make our country better? Canada should always be better, of course, guys, because here in Canada. But of course, my condolences to the US for all the people who got injured, for all the people who got, beaten up, and all the bad stuff that happened in there. I'm feeling bad for every one of you guys. I'm not a saint, I'm not a crazy holy person who feels bad for everyone, but it's just sad to see this kind of violence happening on the street. It feels like, it feels to me, because I'm coming from Ukraine, right? So it feels to me that, they're trying to use Russian methods, like when police just comes, beats everyone up. Like Russia, India, the countries that are not as developed as the United States. You can just literally bring in the force, put everyone down, face into the ground, arrest everyone, beat the hell out of everyone, and tell the media to get lost. Now, that's not going to happen in the United States. Nobody's ever going to get lost in that country. You cannot use the same brutality technique that you use in the less developed countries. Who keeps on texting me while I'm trying to record it? You cannot do that in the US. You just cannot. It's the dumbest thing I have ever seen. Such a brutality, such a force against people, where the freedom of speech has to be the priority. The Constitution, the American Constitution in the US, like, it's just crazy. You know, you do something stupid in the United States, you're going to be recorded, it's going to be there, and you're going to be held accountable for it. So, please be more peaceful, and know this: once the riots are over, there will be recordings, there will be investigations, there will be a bunch of charges going on, and there will be follow-ups for the police, for the people who were robbing, and you know, everything is on camera nowadays. Please calm down. Do not fight. Do not rob. Do not break anything. I'm seriously, guys. And more importantly, stay safe. And let's make the world a better place for all races to live. We'll see you next video, guys. I really wanted to speak about it. I'm deviating from my original content. I was going to talk about Canada, about immigration that I usually do on this channel, but I just had to speak about it. And you know, that's the only thing I have in my head right now, is that protest and things that are happening around the globe, because it just, you know, caught me like really deep inside. Guys, we'll see you next video. Looking forward to read your comments. See you soon.